Okay, up next, we've got a really cool beer from Browar Stu Mostow. I hope I've said that right. I think it's a Polish brewery. Who've done a collaboration with Galway Bay Brewery in Galway Bay Brewery, and they've come up with Boulevardier, and that's up next. Can't wait to try it. And then, hey, welcome back to Views on Brews. I am Brendan, and this is a beer that I'm super excited about. It's November in Ireland, and it's cold outside. It's that time of year we want Russian imperial stouts and barley wines and big beers with big alcohol strength to them, and stuff that's really exciting. We've had a really crappy year in 2020 with COVID-19, and everyone in the craft brewing world has just sort of gone mad for all of these barrel-aged version beers, and I think that's a lot to do also with the sort of chronological order of how breweries have been sort of escalating or the growth in the breweries, and how barrel aging has now become the next biggest thing. But it's going to be one of those things that is just going to be built upon year upon year upon year. We're going to get better at doing these barrel aged beers. A lot of the people that I chat with online say, the Americans have got some great barrel-aged beers, and that is absolutely true. They've got some stonking breweries and smashing beers, like absolutely incredible. But it was pointed out to me by the head brewer of Galway Bay Brewery that Russian imperial stouts that are barrel-aged in Ireland are more about dialing in the numbers and getting a really finessed sort of finish to the beer. Perfect example of the style, with character that isn't sort of American barrel aged beers can tend to be really over the top and big, massive, bold flavors, which I absolutely love. But it's also nice to have a different angle on them. So I'd never really thought about it from that sort of perspective. But here we are now, and we're going to see what one is like. Now, having said that, this beer here has been barrel aged for 2 years in bourbon and vermouth barrels. So that's going to be bold flavors anyway, very bold flavors. Have a look at the bottle there. Of course, it's wax capped because that's what they all do these days. And I kind of like it in these kinds of beers. I got 2 of these. One I'm going to put away for a little bit. And this one I'm just going to have, I literally picked it up today. I'm going to see if I can get into this thing. You have to get the wax off a little bit before you can start it with a bottle opener. Hopefully I've done enough there to get some sort of purchase on the teeth. Yeah. Little hiss on opening, which is perfectly good. Wow, strong smell coming off of it. Okay, so let's talk about this. Boulevardier is the name of the beer. Boulevardier, I'm going to pour it at the same time. Boulevardier is a cocktail. A cocktail that I think has whiskey, vermouth and Campari and a little bit of orange rind in it. And I think maybe even ice in it as well. I've not had one, but I'm actually excited to try one now. I've been reading up a little bit about how the idea of this came about. But that's what they've modelled this on. And I believe they've put orange rind or orange zest and grapefruit zest in the beer somehow as well. So I'm just going to read what it says on the side of it. Yeah, very small head on there, which is to be expected, fizzing away a little bit. Wow, really rich aromas coming off of that. Okay, so Boulevardier is a barrel-aged barley wine. Barley wines are just, I think they call them barley wines just because it's the same sort of strength as a wine. You're in the round, I think Barleywine is roughly about between as low as 8% up to 12%. And this one here is brewed with our good friends Brewer Stu Mostow, I don't know how you say it, from Poland. In April 2018, we brewed a double mash barley wine wort, which was boiled for several hours, which is interesting, and fermented long and cool before being aged in select bourbon and vermouth casks for over 2 years. In June of 2020, that's a proper 2 years, that is. A blend of these bourbon and vermouth casks were chosen for bottling. The assemblage of the different barrels evokes one of our favorite cocktails, the Boulevardier. Okay. Yeah, so I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure that I read up when I was buying this that there's orange zest or orange peel and or orange rind and grapefruit rind or zest as well. So that's going to be in there. But anyway, those things that you expect to see with vermouth. Vermouth is a fortified wine. It's like your masalas and your Madeiras and sherries and ports. They're all just wines that have been fortified with a high-strength spirit to give them longevity of life. And in the case of vermouth, you have a lot of herbs added and other botanical flavours. That's why you get this really smooth herbal, it's mellow sort of, but robust sort of aromas from vermouth, if you've ever had it. Anyway, barley wine, we're expecting it to be a sort of a dark brown colour. There's a bit of, it's a little bit of, like deep chestnut, dark colour, dark brown. Can't really see through it at all. Very small head. Going to give it a tiny spin and see if we can get some of these aromas now. Well, the first thing that strikes me on the aroma, which I wasn't really expecting, but is kind of like a very mellow licorice, mixed in with kind of all of that rich caramel, rich molasses. Yeah, very, very sweet notes on the nose. Vermouth is kind of sweet as well. There is a bourbon element going on in there as well, which is that woody and vanilla and that light spice, but there's not too much of it. Very nice on the nose. Really, really nice. Oh, this is going to be a decadent beer. This really is. Oh, I could breathe that in all day. Very nice. Anyway, cheers, Sláinte. Hope you're having a beer and enjoying along. Hope you're lucky enough to get one of these. This one seems like it's bottle number 533. I think that's bottle number. It says it's out of date in year 22, but I'm pretty sure it lasts a lot longer if you wanted it to. But why? Anyway, cheers. Let's have a go. Whoa, bold flavours, really bold flavours. The vermouth immediately just assaults the whole of the mouth, coats you with this sort of velvety, smooth, herbal. It doesn't, it's not any particular herb. It's just kind of a melange of herbs as an idea. That sort of herbal palette that, yeah, you can't really pick out a particular herb out of that. Oh, there's tons of vermouth on this. Now, they did do one Harmonic Convergence, which I still have a bottle of, which I really, really enjoyed. But this one is absolutely fantastic as well. Medium body. I can tell now that the bourbon is coming through. There's that rich sort of spiciness that really dries out the palate the same way bourbon does, but it's nicely balanced with the vermouth. It's not one taken over the other. I thought it was just going to be all vermouth on the nose, but when you actually taste it after a few sips, you get that bourbon come through as well. What a fantastic beer this is. Yeah, and licorice. I get a lot of licorice out of this. Not quite sure if I'm meant to, but oh my God, that's really, really nice. Strong, deep, malty, mild roast, if any, really. It's kind of subdued if there's any roast in it. It's a brown complexion beer. You're not going to get too much roasted malt, but in terms of Maillard sort of flavours off of it, you're getting a whole bunch of sort of toasted, mild caramelization is what I would say through this beer. Oh, the aromas are just to die for. They really are. It almost feels like a dessert beer, this. Like if you were served a shot of that, it would be fantastic. The whole way through this beer, what I'm really getting is those rich barley wine tones that you get from a barley wine, but I'm also able to pick out the vermouth very easily, and I'm also able to pick out the bourbon, and there's a light woodiness to it. Not much, because the character of the barrels, rather than the barrel themselves, has sort of taken the forefront there, but the barley wine itself is standing up very nicely against those barrel flavours. Obviously, in a beer like this, you don't expect to notice any hops. Of course, I don't. Don't really notice any bitterness. I just notice that sort of booziness that you get from barrel aging in some beers, and this is just, there's quite a bit of booziness to it, but not hot. It's smooth, and that's the vermouth, obviously. Oh, so nice. Yeah, the thing that comes to mind in terms of flavors, you could say a lot of rich dark fruits, sweet fruit, but licorice is in there somewhere. A good amount of dark molasses, treacle-y sort of honey, not honey, treacle-y sort of dark brown sugar, muscovado, all that kind of stuff. And then that velvety smooth vermouth. It's just a fantastic beer. I'm so glad I picked this up. I've got two friends of mine who didn't get a chance to taste this. So I think I'm going to take another cheeky nip out of this bottle, and I might just share it out between the two lads that didn't get a taste of it. So Brendan and La, if you're driving by, come and pick this up and have a little swig of it each. Anyway, cheers, sláinte, well done Galway Bay Brewery again, and Browar Stu Mostow. I must look them up. That's their label there, if you can see it. Anyway, it's on to the next one. Cheers.